Welcome to IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Joe Cook here. Got Justin Wells, got Ian Boyd. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so yet, go to that first link in our description. That is InsideTexas.com. Sign up today for just $1. Join the best Texas Longhorns community. Get the best Texas Longhorns insight, intel, recruiting news. We dropped some recruiting scoop over there today about a player committed to the Longhorns. You're going to want to go see what that's about. So go join Inside Texas just for $1. We will throw in a full year of access to The Athletic as well. And while I'm trying to fix a typo of mine real quick, Ian, it is the bye week. And as usual, you always kind of take the time to look at the bye week and see exactly maybe what Texas needs to work on most as they get ready for the rest of the SEC slate and go on the road for a month.
Yeah. Honestly, one of the most important things to do in the bye week is to recruit, but I defer that coverage to my colleague over here, Mr. Justin. Yeah, there's some things they obviously need to work on. Sam Houston State was a great step in the right direction, but boy, they got a nice stretch here. They will not play in Austin for all of October. And that tends to make every game a little bit harder than you think.
And I think we talk, Justin, so much about how we mention this as a young team often and a hungry team.
Yes.
And we look at that being a positive, and there is positives to it, but there is a little bit of they don't know what they don't know. And this week may allow them to get right and get a little bit prepped up and healthy, after going about 7 weeks in a row with football, for what's going to be, two very difficult games. And then obviously just two SEC road games, which have their own level of difficulty.
Yeah. We love bye week because it's part of our job. It's almost it's not a weekend off, but it's a weekend to actually enjoy the sport of college football. Texas uses it as a week to recruit, but also to tighten up a lot of stuff. And let's be honest, on the offensive side of the ball, regardless of what it looked like against Sam Houston, that side of the ball has some screws that need to be tightened down pretty hard. And so that's their opportunity to kind of work on those things, get those things right. And we know how Sark does it in non-conference compared to conference. He'll play a deep bench in non-con. That's what he does. He tries to see who he can trust. Once we get in, once they get into SEC play, Florida, Oklahoma, stuff like that, that bench is going to get short quickly. That trust really, really turns on at that point. And so I think it's an opportunity. Here's the thing. Here's the dirty little secret. There's always little injuries that we don't know about. And I'm telling you right now, there might be a couple little injuries that are actually healing over the next 2 weeks that nobody knows about. And when they come out against Florida and they look really good, everyone's going to think, well, it's just business as usual. Well, yeah, homeboy was dinged up 2 weeks ago. You didn't know about it. And that bye week came at a really convenient time.
Exactly. And then, Ian, one other thing I think that you kind of mentioned is, you're gearing up for your most important game of the year, but at the same time, you got a couple other games that you can't overlook. We'll get to that in a second. Thanks for everybody for joining. And I think with that, let's jump in. 3 keys to conquering a brutal schedule. And Justin mentioned kind of tightening the screws. And a lot of that's been focused on the running game. But where you focus on first is actually in passing the football, and a specific player Texas could be getting back for the Florida game.
Justin's always talking about tight or loose screws, something. Yeah, Emmett Mosley could make
loose screws, not tight or loose screws, tightening loose screws.
Sure. Emmett Mosley, 5th of that name, could be an enormous addition to this team. They've got, look at how big a difference it made having DeAndre Moore on the field against Sam Houston State after not having him the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You add Mosley into the mix, and either he upgrades a position, or at the very least, he gives you another feature to the passing game, or just depth if somebody else gets hurt.
Who is it? I think that's said in jest, but maybe what is
Chris is being funny.
What does he bring to the table from Stanford? Because just we haven't seen him at all this year. Last time we saw him was in Cardinal and White.
He excels at getting to spots on the field on like slants and dig routes and routes at the chains, basically. And when they run plays for Arch Manning where he's dropping back and reading a progression 1, 2, and he's moving his feet in the pocket, he is shockingly good at it. Like when you watch it, you're like, why don't they do this a lot more? This is very effective, and he's really great at it. If they don't do it more at some point this year or next year, it's really going to start to bother me. I'm going to have some questions for Sark. But it'll be a lot easier to do that if you have Mosley, because he's just really reliable. He can get to the right spots. He can catch the ball in traffic. He can go over the middle.
Would you call him your prototypical possession receiver?
Yeah. He might be able to do more than that, but
right. But what I think what Texas needs and what he provides is it's kind of the good mixture there.
Yeah, the West Coast kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was definitely that at Stanford.
His little brother does not lack for speed. Trent Mosley, 2025 or 2026 wide receiver recruit.
26.
That 26, that kid lacks he has all the speed. I think he took all the Emmets too.
Yeah, he's be playing for Lincoln Riley, if that tells you anything. And Ian, one of the things with drop back passing is I think when you mention it, there are a lot of people who may believe that it's like looking at a 15-yard in on one side and then a post on it wouldn't go this way, but it'd be like post 15-yard in and then, maybe a curl. But sometimes progression passing and drop back passing can be really simple. And it can just be basically one read. Is this one of those examples?
Yeah, this is whip dig. They run this a lot this season. It's one of the most common things they've run this season. I don't know if I saw them do it in the Quinn Ewers era. But on the bottom, they have an empty formation. So they have 3 receivers on the top, including a tight end, and then 2 receivers on the bottom. The tight end is probably Injuries or Shannon. Gets upfield to about where the linebacker on the bottom is and then pivots out. And then the receiver behind him is Ryan Wingo, I believe, and he's going to run a dig. And the idea is if that linebacker goes out to match the tight end, then it leaves the window to throw the ball over the middle. And
Let me see if I can find a good version of this, at least on the chalkboard.
Arch hits it so fast because they've only got 5 guys to protect, and Sam Houston State sends an extra rusher. And so Arch has got to see it and throw it immediately and stand in there against pressure, and he does. Which, again, you're like, they should do this more often because when you can do that, you are lethal.
I think I found a version of it, and it's from the video game world. Let me see if I can –
bring me some Tecmo Bowl.
How about this? Does this look about right? At least for the 3 receiver side.
They're doing it to the 2 receiver side in my example, but yeah, that would do it. Is the inside guy runs up and then back out, and then when the linebacker follows, the dig is open behind it.
And there's a certain coaching point with that. It's like go in until you win or something like that. Isn't there like a little phrase that they use?
Yeah, it could be. That sounded pretty catchy.
I've heard it before.
You know where you can find a million examples of it?
Patriots tape.
Greg Davis, Vince Young, and Colt McCoy offenses. You watch against Ohio State, you got Vince Young, you got like David Thomas running the whip, and then who was the slot? It wasn't Carter, it was Billy Pittman.
Billy Pittman.
Billy Pittman ran that. They ran this with David Thomas and Billy Pittman all day.
He had 5 catches in that Ohio State game, 5 or 6 catches.
Cole McCoy threw this to Jermichael Finley and Quan Cosby or Jordan Shipley a million times in 2006 and 2007. It's awesome. So it's still old West Coast kind of passing concept, kind of thing that's not been a huge part of the Texas arsenal. I want to see more of that, and God willing, some Emmett Mosley the 5th.
There it is. Well, maybe not exactly that.
No,
but
no, no. Joe Cook has a new quote, and I might be making a T-shirt.
Oh man, there's something
Go
like
hand
that.
it
If
to
there's an
me.
actual coach watching this, they'll know what I'm talking about. But Justin, this is one of those plays where you use that Sark's very proficient at to use one guy to draw another one wide open, and sometimes that's what you need for Arch Manning at this point in his career.
I think every quarterback needs that. I think every offense needs this. You get receivers to clear out space for other guys, to get other guys open. You're constantly keeping the defense on their toes. You're constantly, making them think rather than, making them react rather than think. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially, I think every offense wants to do some part of this in some way. I want to say the Eagles do this a little bit too, with their tight end a lot.
Ian, is this something that also translates to DeAndre Moore?
Sure. I mean, they've already run. Oh, actually, I'm trying to remember. They've done stuff like this with Moore. Sometimes he's best at just kind of go fast down the field kind of stuff, which is all the more reason why you kind of want Mosley in the mix. It's just to have one more guy that's really precise at getting to the right spots underneath, and is not just a fast burner, get down the field.
Right.
Like Wingo,
strategically gets open.
Yeah, like Wingo and Moore are so dangerous. But if you want precision, Arch is going to throw to this spot at this time, and the guy needs to be there, then Mosley, I think, is an upgrade there.
And that's kind of what Golden, compared to Bond and even Moore last year, was so proficient at. And then obviously he combined his fantastic speed,
Sure.
but
Golden was great at everything.
Golden got open religiously.
Yeah.
Remember, I think I had the same tweet 19 times in 2024. Matthew Golden is always open.
Josh asked a good question. Where does Mosley fit in, though? Taking over Livingston, Moore? Probably not taking over for those guys, Justin, but just working in with them. We already know that they have a tight wide receiver rotation, and adding a fourth guy to that mix. I mean, he may take some snaps that go to Dalen McCutcheon typically.
Yeah,
but
that's what'll happen.
I think that's who he's taking over for, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, look, Day McCutcheon has been great first month, but that was Emmett Mosley's spot essentially. His injury, his being hampered is what's actually allowed McCutcheon to kind of assert himself and to be a guy that Arch and Sark and Chris Jackson trust. And so that's essentially what you want from that.
You want to
go ahead.
You want to not see some of these young receivers anymore. That's what Mosley offers you.
And you won't. Sark is Sark. The only young receiver I think they played last year was Ryan Wingo. And a lot of that, not just, in the route game, but also was in motion, jet sweep, reverses. That was a lot of what he was doing as a freshman. It wasn't even running routes like these guys.
You can go back, and I remember last year a talking point was how big will this rotation get? And it didn't get big.
It's like basketball. They go 5.
Yeah.
They don't go to the bench.
For the past few years, you look at someone let's think in 2023, it was Worthy, Mitchell, Whittington, and then
nobody.
Jonte got some snaps. That's kind of it. 2020.
That non-con, and Mississippi State. Yeah, you're right. He got some run early on.
24.
You see how good he looked last week?
24. It was Golden, Bolden, Bond, and then Moore, and then Wingo works his way in, and then this year we still haven't seen that that rotation expand all that much. So we may want Sark to expand that rotation, but he just didn't go into. Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, that is Academy.
Any gate can be a tailgate.
Point number 2.
I wanted to give just a little bit of love to Jonte Cook. He had another incredible game last weekend with Syracuse. I love seeing that kid do well. Shout out, Jonte.
Ian, your second point was develop competency in the mid-zone run scheme. Talked about young teams and stuff like that, still figuring things out. They've had some success in gap schemes, and it seems like this is the zone scheme that you feel is where they're making some progress.
Yeah, it's
making progress.
It's basically like outside zone. Yep. It's basically like outside zone, only it's not as wide, which is good for this particular team because as you guys have watched, when you ask Connor Stroh and some of these guys to get really lateral, does not play to their strengths. Mid zone, they get lateral, but it's not as much. And it's better in the shotgun than wide zone is because the aiming point for the running back is not as extreme. For the running back to actually threaten a wide trajectory from the shotgun is hard because he's running sideways to get the ball, and then it's harder for him to cut. If you run it under center, then he gets the ball going with his shoulders more square to the line, and it's easier. So anyway,
pistol works in that regard too.
Yeah, but if you just go mid zone, you don't need all that. You can just run this play from the shotgun and have it look the same as counter and gap and duo and whatever else. And the big added benefit is that when you have this scheme, all those other schemes, generally the tight end will tell the linebackers where the ball is going. So if the linebackers just go wherever the tight end goes, they're always going to get themselves to the point of attack very quickly. So like here's a counter play. The ball is designed to follow the tight end as the lead blocker. If you go down just a little bit further for mid zone, the line all goes a little more hard the opposite direction of the tight end, and the tight end is just looking to screen the guy on the backside and keep him out of the cutback lane. So if the linebackers follow the tight end on this play, they're going to get badly reached, and the ball's just going to go the direction the running back's already headed, and you're just going to run through.
There's going to be Red Sea in the middle of the field.
Exactly.
And so mid zone, we talk about wide zone, we talk about inside zone and all that. Mid zone is splitting the difference as far as, not taking harsh lateral steps and not simply going straight forward.
Yeah. There's like 4 different kinds of zone. Like duo is basically just tight inside zone, traditional inside zone, mid zone, outside zone. Sometimes people even differentiate outside zone and wide zone. Just little subtle tweaks in where you aim and how far you try to get, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter what you call it. Texas needs to be better at zone blocking and split zone blocking. If they do that, it'll pair really nicely with the counter stuff and the gap stuff. And it'll also be really good for taking advantage of teams that like to slant and stunt their defensive linemen around. When you slant and stunt your defensive linemen around against a zone scheme like this, you can get badly caught when it gets picked up halfway effectively. And this has obvious value against one particular team that really likes to slant and stunt, and same team has been badly burned when Texas was good at this play the last couple of years.
So you posted an example of this the other day. Actually, let me bring it down. It's fine, whatever.
They ran this against this is one of the good times they ran it against Sam Houston State.
And this is the type of front that they'll see in SEC play. It looks like, I don't know what you call that, but they ran that 2-4-5 looking thing that PK likes to do, or maybe it's a over defense, but like they're going to see these types of fronts in SEC play, or at least these looks.
Yeah.
So before I press, go ahead.
A little different caliber of athlete.
Yes. Yes. So before I press play, you're looking at what is Jack Endries going to do here?
He's going to be the one that splits back to protect the cutback lane and to pick off the unblocked defender on the backside. Everybody else is going to go hard to the right.
Okay. So James Simon taking the ball. Endries goes. And it looks like there's even a read for – is there a read for Arch, or can you attach one on this play?
You can pretend there's a read, and then you can freeze up that defensive end and make him easier to block.
which
Or
is
you can
happening right now.
or you can give a pass option outside that Arch could also read if they try to sneak extra defenders into the box. I don't remember if they had a pass option on this one or not, and you cannot see from this angle. But that's a good question.
The good thing on this one is I know there's been a lot of criticism of him, but this plays to Connor Stroh's strengths more so than maybe outside zone, because Connor Robertson engages him, that nose tackle.
Yeah.
And then here comes Connor Stroh. Get out of the play.
What they do well here that they did not do well previous weeks is that if you're all going to the right, can you go back to it?
Yeah.
If you're all going to the right, then you need to reach somebody and get in. You need to go reach the outside shoulder of the guy that's way to your right. And that's really hard to do unless your teammate to the right helps pass him off to you. And those trade-offs, they were doing really, really badly at getting that done effectively in previous weeks. But on this one, you see.
Well, and one of the things is watch that weak side linebacker, because of the confusion maybe that that linebacker probably looks at this play and thinks like, oh, wide zone, and starts thinking, okay, I need to get out there. Like, look, he's taking steps. He's thinking that they may be trying to run between DJ Campbell and Brandon Baker, and he is out of the play. And yep, gets run right by.
Yeah, number 6 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his teammate's not there because his teammate got frozen up by, I don't know, maybe the threat of Arch, and he gets reached by Gooseby.
Yeah, and then does Goosby's guy make the tackle? Sure, but he's doing his job. Like that's football.
It's like 15 yards down the field too.
Yeah, that's football.
You'll also see Baker takes an initial step to the right. His guy is way outside, and so he gives just a little extra shove. Does he? Go ahead.
Yeah, he kind of kicks, but kind of kicks.
Well, he takes his time in case Campbell cannot reach his guy. And then Robertson gets over and helps Campbell and just drives that guy out.
And then you can see on this angle, DeAndre Moore's doing his job.
Wide receiver blocking was outstanding in this game. You can tell it was a point of emphasis. They said it would be, and you could see it on film.
And that leads to a question we got from Josh earlier. Where's the easy pass game, like slants? I'm going to include screens in this question. Should be an easy way to get the ball in these burners' hands and let them run outside of ends around a window. I think they've been pretty vanilla. Like Ohio State, they ran 11 and 12 only. And it seems like in these other games, yeah, they've thrown Niblet in there to kind of mess with personnel rules, but it's not like they've shown the wide gamut of personnels that we're typically seeing from Texas offenses. I don't know if that means they're saving it for SEC. Probably not, because you'd like to use it and rep it. Or if it's just, we got to keep it simple, stupid these for these games. But at the same time, it does look like they've missed and not provided screens opportunities very often in these games.
It seems like, they did hit some quick, easy stuff against Sam Houston State. If you guys watched the Tuesday deep dive film study me and Paul did, you'll see us breaking down one where Arch has like a pre-snap option to just throw a quick stop route to Wingo that he nailed, which was very encouraging because he couldn't hit any of that stuff against UTEP. As far as personnel, it feels like their emphasis in the first couple of games has been to get all these young tight ends in the mix. And so I kind of think that they see the upside on this roster as being less in the young receivers and more in the young tight ends. And those are the different packages that they've wanted to invest in. like Townsend.
Right.
They've made it a point to play Winston. They've played Shannon probably a little more out of necessity. They've played Washington. All those guys have gotten a lot of work, and obviously injuries. He's like one of the best players on the team.
Yeah, if you look at snap count from at least on the defense, and a lot of it was reflected in the offense, except for the O-line, just because you need those guys every play. It was so spread for the Sam Houston game. So I remember Homer was like, "Well, Jack Andrews didn't get a pass." It's like, that's fine. Let Jordan Washington learn how to run leak and stuff like that.
Yeah, injuries will get force-fed the ball a gazillion times when it actually matters. I promise everyone.
All right, Ian, your third key to conquering a brutal schedule is to prepare for Oklahoma. There's another game before the Sooners, so why are you electing to skip over the Gators?
There is a spiritual significance to the Red River Shootout in the Cotton Bowl because Oklahoma is like the great Satan of Texas football. They live to beat Texas. They live to defy Texas. They live to try to humble Texas. And any Texas team that cannot go and win in the Cotton Bowl is a team that is morally undeserving of achieving its goals that season. You have to beat Oklahoma. It's essential. Even if theoretically you could meet your goals with a loss to Oklahoma, like Ohio State did with Michigan last year, it would need to have come after some major soul searching and identity restoration on the part of the football team, because you cannot lose to Oklahoma. Like that is they are setting the bar for you every year. They're like telling you what you need to be and what you need to do to achieve your goals. And if you can't do it against Oklahoma, you're probably not going to be able to do it against anybody else, and you don't deserve to do it against anybody else because you just failed your final exam, basically, even though it's technically a midterm timing-wise.
So what does that make 2023? It would have been a lot better had they beat Oklahoma and Dylan.
Yes, and I told everyone they're not going to win in the playoffs. If they were going to win in the playoffs, they should have beat Dylan Gabriel in Oklahoma. And I was like, I don't know exactly what's going to get them, but they demonstrated that lack of moral conviction and strength. And I know it'll show up in the playoffs, and it did. And I was right.
Man, that was quite the experience. I'm trying to. So you're saying to look past Florida, not look past Florida. I don't think you're arguing that, but it is the bye week. You get a couple practices. You get to take a little bit of a break, and you can take some opportunities to look at what the Sooners might do, Mateer, Hawkins, whoever, and still not, I guess, undermine whatever you need to do for whatever DJ Lagway and the Gators look like.
I would argue that the fact that Florida has been just falling on their butts all season is all the more reason to invest even more practice time and focus on beating Oklahoma. Even though that Oklahoma game probably won't be easier than Florida, but could be if they don't have Mateer, which they probably won't. But you still just have to treat that game as everything. You can lose to Florida and the season's not over. If you lose to Oklahoma, you're not going to achieve your goals that season. I know they're both a win or a loss on the scoreboard, but it's just not the same. There are spiritual forces at play.
I think the best, before we keep going on this, I think the best way to put it is there are a lot of people that I guess you and I both know in the UT sphere, kind of the outside the inside Texas sphere, who live and breathe, Texas football, who don't do that. They do other things on Saturdays. The one game they tune in for is in early October. Like there are so many Texas fans, alums who do not live and die with sports, but they watch that one game. And I think that speaks to what you're talking about. And and I see there are a lot of comments in the chat about like losing to Florida would end the season. It wouldn't. And I know you don't like this. Losing to Oklahoma, if they went 1-2 or 1-1 against Florida and Oklahoma, the season is by no means over. But the margin is completely gone. Because I don't buy any of this strength of schedule stuff, 9-3 deal, especially with what the Big Ten is going to have this year, probably.
Yep.
I don't think you want to risk that. 1-1 does not end this season. 0-2, you're more on the way to not making the playoff than making the playoff. So,
I actually, in the article I mentioned, I think 1-1 is probably going to knock you out as well, because if you lose to Florida or Oklahoma, now you have 2 losses, and you still have at Georgia, and you still have Texas A&M. Like, assuming, okay, let's say they go 3-1 in this stretch, because Mississippi State is a potential loss, and
everybody's good. SEC football.
Everybody is good. Everybody is dangerous, at least a little bit. The home games, a little less so, except A&M, because A&M might just be good. You don't really want to lose any of these next 4, because you want to have margin for losing to Georgia or, God forbid, Texas A&M, mostly Georgia. Road game in Athens, like, come on, that's you can't pencil that in as a win. Did you want to pull up that comment about Florida versus Oklahoma that you had highlighted? While we're on the topic,
I'm trying to find it.
Oh no, that was a different one.
Well, this kind of feeds into, I guess, a larger conversation. Need to go all in on 2026. Portal as much talent like OSU. Dude, it's September, Ryan. Like, I don't like the go all in next year. And granted, I think what you're saying is you can do that. And I'm not trying to assign giving up on 2025 to that comment. But like, maybe what you're trying to do is just illustrate where Texas needs to go and maybe look at what 2025 could be. But 2025, I think, still can be fantastic.
Texas in the NIL era, you're going all in every year.
Yeah.
They didn't bring in 5 defensive tackles in the transfer portal to just give this year a solid college effort. You know, they're all in every year.
We're not doing the DeLoss thing, and Ian doesn't think we're winning the Natty this year. I know he picked Alabama, and we'll talk about that.
Oh, God. But that doesn't mean you don't try.
Yeah.
I just don't think they have done it. I don't think they got.
Sometimes I know YouTube chat can be very black and white, but I know that's you're not being black and white with that, Ryan. I get where you're coming from. But yeah, I mean, anything else on the bye week? I'm always for get healthy. I'm always for making sure that you have everything tightened up. And Josh, he's not saying take a lackadaisical approach to Florida. He's saying that during this bye week, before you really dive into Florida prep, get a little Oklahoma in.
I would get Oklahoma prep in every week until you play them. And you know why? Because that's what they're doing to Texas. And if you don't meet that same challenge, that's when you have the recipe for Texas is 10-2, but they lose 56-12 or whatever to Oklahoma. That's the level of seriousness they take this game. They are challenging to your face. If you have this one program that's challenging you like that every single year, and you don't rise to that challenge, and you're like, we'll just skate by that one, and then we'll try to focus on other games, you're being a total pansy. You're totally undeserving. That is a black and white issue. That is what I mean by the moral, spiritual dimensions of this game.
I've become more and more in line with your thinking on that one. So before we continue, got to give some love to our sponsor. That's Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
All right, Ian, are you familiar with my concept of the Spike Club?
Yes. This is can I try to explain it?
Yes.
The Spike Club is where you are a defensive back and attempts to throw the ball to your assignment are less efficient than if the quarterback had just spiked the ball. Is that right?
That is correct. And last year, Texas had 2 players in that club. It's 39.6 is the NFL passer rating. I learned a lot about passer rating these past couple times I've written this because the NCAA has a different formula, and then you have to do the sack yardage thing. I'm just going to go by what PFF has. The sack, if you spike the ball every play, your NFL passer rating would be 39.6. Jelani McDonald's NFL passer rating against, according to PFF, is 28.1. And I think 2 things. One, Barron being 34.2 as cornerback 1 is pretty crazy. Makuba, and I know you can putting a safety in this kind of ignores some detailed minutia, but still 12.1.
Right.
That's crazy. That was second in the country last year. But 28.1, and some of that has to do with the fact that he picked off, I think that pass against Sam Houston, picked off another one, was at UTEP. But Jelani McDonald, a player everybody's been raving about athletically, is also doing exactly what he needs to do position-wise. Let me see.
Those interceptions are the big reason, right? It's because if you target him and you get picked, that's much worse than spiking it.
Yeah, and it's an odd formula, but just the idea that he's in that 28.1 range is great. And I wanted to make sure that to compare, there are other Texas players who are in the realm of possibility of joining this, but it's all still really good. And let me see if I can get this going. There we go. So Grayson Littleton, who was, I don't want to say picked on for San Jose State, but the structure of that offense just works in the middle. He got targeted a lot, got caught against a lot, but still 48.6 for Grayson Littleton. That's tremendous as well.
He was attacked, but he wasn't really picked on.
Right.
He was the kid that the bully tries to corner and then ends up with a bloody nose.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and I wanted to make sure to compare Sam Houston's quarterback. His passer rating is 59.2 right now. So that's what below average quarterback play looks like in FBS football. Here are all the Longhorns who have, I wanted to include Jalen Gilbo I made it 75.5 just to make sure Jalen Gilbo got in there for reference. But these are the passer rating against for Texas regulars in the defensive backfield. And then you can look at Arch. See, his is 104.6. And we know what Arch has struggled with. And yet all these players, Jalen Gilbo, Jordan Johnson-Rebel, Wardell Mack, Malik Muhammad, Grayson Littleton, Jelani McDonald, they are curtailing opposing passing offenses.
That's very good. Obviously, they've played some pretty bad teams, but they've also played teams that are trying to throw the ball. So they're obviously doing it's not the same as if they had these ratings and they've been playing like Army or something.
And then
Especially like Littleton and McDonald. That's like a pretty high volume of targets.
yeah.
To still be holding up.
And this stood out to me too. Teams really have not tried to test Malik Muhammad that much yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was
Ohio State's the only team I think that's really even tried.
So right now, I looked it up. There are 54 players who have played at least 75 coverage snaps. Jabari Mack, Dante Joyner, Mansour Delane. I know we're talking about Jelani for Thorpe, but I think it could end up being Delane. One of the things to look at, let me see if I wrote that. Oh, basically, if you go and look at Julian Sayen's NFL passer rating, it's something crazy right now. And Texas, and granted, that was against Ohio U and Grambling, but Texas kept him to basically like half of what his passer rating became over the course of the next 3 weeks. So, numbers are numbers. We can all see with our eyes what's going on in that defensive secondary. I'm curious though, and actually, I think I can pull up the PFF right now to get that going, so we can kind of get a little bit of a sense of what exactly it is. And I'll sort by the NFL passer rating against. I removed a good amount of these guys just because, 4 coverage snaps, and that's tough to see. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's sorted by. Yeah, this may not work, unfortunately. All the same, Texas defense and individual members of its defense are doing some fantastic things. And you should not throw at Jelani McDonald unless you want to just, do something worse than spiking the football. Justin, anything from Jelani as you jump back in? What has really stood out to you about how he's played over the past 4 games?
All of that athleticism that we kept seeing and talking about and writing about in high school, we're seeing at the college level now. Where, I think Ian, I don't know if Ian mentioned it, but we got a boy, Prospectus, he hit us up right after that interception, right before the half. He's like, guys, did you just see what I saw? And it was something. It's Air Jelani. So the thing with Jelani McDonald, it's one of those, well, yeah, we've been saying this for 3 years, and now it's all coming together, and now he's badass, and now this guy's probably going in the second round behind Caleb Downs, and now Jelani McDonald's going to be a superstar. Oh, yeah, I can see that. It's just one of those things.
And Sark, I think a couple weeks ago, talked about his development at Texas, because McDonald, when Jeff Choate was here, he was supposed to be part of the linebacker class.
Initially.
Him, I'm not going to remember all these guys. Him, LaSalle.
Wasn't Burrell in there, maybe? Smaje? No.
Yeah, Burrell. And then the other guy from Utah.
Lander Barton?
No.
God, I wish.
That would – Texas defense would be better.
He was a grown man. I saw him in person.
Tassili Akana. So they
Akana.
I think they had 3 or 4 linebackers in the class, and they wanted McDonald, and I think they were telling him, like, no, you're an athlete. Or they were telling him, no, Akana's a pass rusher. They were trying to fit him in the class without making him worry about position. His body didn't take him to linebacker. And they're like, all right, let's use you all over. And it's worked out extremely well. And, Sark even mentioned we tried him at corner. We tried him. I don't know about that. They tried him at safety, at linebacker, and they finally found a home just around the ball for him. And that's taken on really well. My favorite Jelani McDonald story is that, let me share this tab instead, get you all a face full of Kalen DeBoer. My favorite Jelani McDonald story is that at the Army All-American Bowl, it was in 2021, I think, maybe 2022. Anyway, there were guys who were missing because of COVID or just because they didn't want to play. And he's like, I'll play corner. And he played really great cornerback against top players in his class. So
Yes.
that was a lot of fun.
He played very good corner. Jelani's a fun kid. Great personality, brings a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. And remember in the spring and the summer where we talked about Jelani could potentially be playing at Star. And remember, he was repping at Star. And then they figured out he is so good at safety. You got to play safety. He was it was almost detrimental to take him away from one of those safety spots on occasion. Star, I see it, but from a down and down distance kind of thing. Jelani, you can't take him off the field. He has to play on one of those safety spots. And I think it's pushed Taft. I think it's pushed Derek Williams. I think it's pushed that whole room.
It's pushed Derek Williams to the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And Derek Williams is good at football. And he's
getting healthier. And he is going. Listen, Derek Williams was the starter before Andrew Makuba saw the field.
Yeah. He'll
and I could see next year, I could see a safety duo of Derek Williams and Jonah Williams. And we're going to have to call it like Williams and Williams. We're going to have to come up with some little slogan, like Sherman Williams. They cover everything. But those two guys are going to be dynamic back there. But they're going to be following huge shoes with Taft and with McDonald.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the SEC this week. Notre Dame playing another SEC team, going to Arkansas, 11 a.m. This one, I should have looked at what the over is, but I would take the over on this one just because I think Bobby Petrino is going to be trying to put on a tryout. And as Ryan Nelson mentions, Chris Ash's defense, Justin, has not really done very well for the Fighting Irish this year.
They've had a little bit of a hard time. Joe and I have some really good friends in the Notre Dame market. A lot of them, and there's some angst there with Chris Ash. It's similar to what we experienced years ago at the end of the Tom Herman regime.
It's probably better for us than it's been for them.
Yeah, Chris Ash was not the problem, but he wasn't the solution.
There you go. Yeah, he wasn't
that year,
but yeah.
They
and Notre Dame's got some guys. Like, I don't know how great they are along the front four, but they have incredible linebackers. They have some really good DBs. Like, they've got some toys to play with.
They got to be healthy.
He switched them from like mostly man coverage to match, and that's not just a switch you flip. So it's been tricky for them.
And I'm kind of surprised Marcus Freeman lets that happen.
Oh, he might have decided they needed to after what happened against Jeremiah Smith. Like, Ohio State totally knocked them out of what they want to do. And so they were like trying to do match stuff that they didn't normally do because they were so afraid of him. And it didn't work out. It's hard to just play man coverage and beat everybody in the playoffs.
That is also Jeremiah Smith. I don't know. I whatever they tried to do hadn't worked with Ash. Notre Dame -4.5. AM game. Maybe this is Pittman's last stand, but if Notre Dame loses this one, I think you can knock them out of the playoff picture too.
I think they're not going to make it because they still have like one or two more tough games, and they're just not going to.
And if they struggle to stop Arkansas, imagine what struggling to stop USC is going to look like.
Oh, that's right. They still have that one. USC, like somebody said, this ended up being pretty good.
Utah State at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt 22.5. What I mean, I don't think there's much here. Just get out alive and don't drop this like you dropped Georgia State last year.
They won't do that. You got the Fighting Pavias. That's not happening. They roll different. I want to know how the only thing about Vanderbilt I want to know is how the date went between Theo Vaughn and Diego Pavia's mom. That's really the only thing I want to take away from this game.
I think we'll have to tune in to, what is it, this past weekend to find out. Isn't that what it's called? We'll see. LSU at Ole Miss, one of the two games of the weekend in the SEC. We can get to the Landry Kiffin of it all in a little while. But looking at the injury report,
That was at me.
Austin Simmons is not on the injury report, but it still seems like they're going with Trinidad Chambliss, and we'll see if they can run on this LSU defense, right, Ian?
Yeah, did he play the last game? Chambliss?
The last two games.
Chambliss played the last game.
I've been out of the loop.
Simmons is not on the injury report.
Because Lane Kiffin refuses to abide by that, and nobody's holding him to it.
It seems like he's going to go with Trinidad. As odd as that is.
He was adamant this week that when Simmons comes back, he's the starter. But yet he won't put him on the availability report.
Interesting.
It's Lane playing games, guys. I honestly, and I'll stay away from the Landry jokes, Joe. I'll keep it clean, PG. But I think this game. I see whoever wins this game has a head up towards the playoff, and the other team is going to have to climb. I think they're both at that point in the season for both these teams. It's a great matchup. Whoever wins that game is going to have a path to the almost not clear, but much more clear to the playoff. And the other one's going to have an idea of what they're going to have to accomplish to get to that. That's what I think is so cool about this game. It's not an elimination game, but it's a put up or shut up playoff talk game.
One of the things for LSU is, despite Brian Kelly's objections, that offense has not been good. And that's with Garrett Nussmeier. That's with Caden Durham. That's with some good portal receivers. That offense has been bad. And, that's one of those things where if you are, what's the guy who's the defensive coordinator for Lane right now?
DJ
Tosh?
No. He was Saban's old defensive coordinator.
The bearded Golding.
Yeah. Pete Golding.
Oh.
This is a massive game for him. Because you got to be able to shut down this kind of jagged LSU offense at home, and one of the turning point games of the season in the SEC.
I don't know if we know what LSU is yet.
Yeah, it's a shame that I'm inevitably going to fall asleep during this game on the couch.
No, Ian. I need your take on this.
Yeah.
How else am I going to learn about football if I don't ask you every question? You have to give me some insight on this.
I'm not going to make it. I've been waking up early on Saturdays, and I can tell you right now,
that's nap time.
This is going to be inadvertent nap time right here.
Well, and that's going to be a fantastic nap.
Hopefully, you're up by about 4:30 to see the end of it.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'll call you, or I'll send Kat another Bulldog picture.
Auburn at A&M. Auburn was basically, if you tallied up the votes, I think they were either ranked 26th or 27th. A&M coming off a week-long break. The thing is, and I see a lot of people in the chat, he doesn't have – there are problems with Jackson Arnold, but it seems like, Justin, that Hugh Freeze in all his wisdom has figured out that just run the ball with that guy and then maybe throw it to Cam Coleman a time or two.
There's going to be some chunk balls. And listen, Jackson can chunk it. He always had an arm. He can chunk it. And that's what I'm calling those passes to Cam Coleman. Those are chunk balls. You're almost hoping for a PI in some sense. Everything about this game says Texas A&M should win by double digits, I feel like. I think the buildup, Texas A&M's confidence coming off Notre Dame, coming off the bye week. They got 2 weeks to prep. Auburn's coming off a bloodbath in Norman. They're a little dinged up. Their confidence is a little shaken. Everything says A&M should win handedly here, in my opinion. And that's when you've got to pay attention, because Auburn's sneaky. Auburn can be sneaky good, especially on the defensive front. So I'm actually curious about this game too, because I feel like if A&M wins this, that hype machine really increases, and it only starts to grow, which we see every year in October. It's a rite of passage. A&M makes that October run. A&M beats Auburn, and you're going to see more of that run that they usually have in October. November, that remains to be seen.
it seems like for this one, it's can A&M stop the run? Because I think A&M
they're 103rd in the nation in that.
Right, and I think A&M is going to score. I know the chat's down on Marcel Reed. He's good in that offense,
he's really good in that offense. And they've got some playmakers at receiver now, guys.
A&M's been susceptible to the run. UTSA did it.
Everything on defense, yeah.
I mean, I think Notre Dame did it. This is where Mike Elko needs to earn his money. Tennessee at Mississippi State, battle of similar styles. I think this is one that Texas fans should check in on just to see what Mississippi State may do on defense. What do you think, Ian?
Check in on Mississippi State for sure. They have been pretty potent. Man, I don't know. Defensively for sure, always interesting to see if that's probably the area where that'll make or break Mississippi State now that they're in SEC play against teams like Tennessee or Texas. They're pretty bad on defense last year. And the degree to which that is improved is going to be everything. The offense, I can tell you now, is a threat. As long as Shapen is healthy. Because Brennan Thompson in that offense is finally realized the potential that we saw out of high school.
The other thing for Mississippi State is they basically took the best running backs from the G5 in the Sun Belt over the past couple of years. They are missing Blake Steen, who's a pretty good offensive lineman, I think. Tennessee, again, it's going to be can Mississippi State. It's going to be can Mississippi State stop Tennessee at all? Because as Chris Bennett points out, Joey Aguilar has been doing the thing.
And they got some great receivers there too. I think this is probably a good game, especially since it's in Starkville. But I think Tennessee takes a lot out on Mississippi State from what happened to them last weekend against Georgia. That was a tough loss. They've got some payback coming to Starkville.
Or a letdown.
Maybe.
I believe in Josh Heupel. I don't think they're coming. I don't think they're set up for a letdown with him.
All right.
UMass at Missouri. Whenever I talk about Eli Drinkwitz being somewhat fraudulent, it's because they have crappy out of conference games. They beat Kansas though, all the same. Don't really want to talk about a game with a 45-point spread.
Look,
Alabama,
if Marcus Camby's not coming through the door, we're not bringing up UMass.
Alabama at Georgia. Ian, you want to take this one?
This is the one. Got to make sure I'm awake by this one. I think Georgia is going to destroy them because they are very happy to run Gunnar Stockton in the zone read game. And Alabama is just completely incapable of handling that, apparently. So if Alabama wins this game, then I may get back on speaking terms with them. But I think it may be a high scoring game, but I think Georgia's going to stick it to that defense.
I think Ty Simpson, I don't want to say he's turned a corner, but he's done exactly what he's needed to do over the past few weeks.
A lot of what he needed to do, almost overcompensating type performances.
I was going to check the injury report. The one big one, actually, this is a big one. Georgia may be missing a starting offensive lineman with Ernest Green. So that's kind of been a small weak point for the Bulldogs, surprisingly, this season.
That is definitely surprising that Georgia's never lacked for quality NFL offensive linemen in the Kirby Smart era, at least.
I think a lot of them may just be young at this point.
Well, Green's pretty young. Well, no, he was there last year. I just remember because I remember Texas recruiting him. I think he was an IMG kid.
This is the one to watch, though. And I don't know. Alabama, I don't think has been to Georgia in 10 years. I know they've played often.
Really?
This is a game where they do not match up in season all that often, and that was even before the A&M expansion. Like
Really?
the SEC used to have like a 7-game schedule and then an 8-game schedule, and they have 10 teams in the league. Like they wouldn't play.
Right. They were a division. They had 2 divisions. West
but even before
they
that, like before
right.
South Carolina and Arkansas joined in '92, like the last time that they played a regular season game was 2020, and then before that it was 2015, and then before that it was 2008. Like they don't play in the regular season all that often. Very strange.
That sounds like the A&M schedule with Georgia. Hasn't A&M played Georgia one time in the 12 or 13 years they've been in the SEC?
Georgia has never played in College Station they've never played a conference game in College Station, I believe is what it is.
And A&M's been in the SEC how long?
2012 was that first season.
Buddy, I got to get my boy Billy Lucci on the phone. That sounds detrimental.
Didn't Georgia get the Branch kid that Sark wanted?
Yes, Zarakiah, and he's good.
They did it. They did the thing with portal wide receivers this year. They always kind of take a roll of the dice, and it hadn't worked super well, but it looks like it's working a lot better.
Well, they got that one back from the year before, Colby Young.
Yeah,
that was always expected to be good, and then he committed allegedly some atrocious, heinous crime and couldn't play last year.
It's probably in a car. Bless his heart.
It was not in a car.
Oh, that's even worse.
Different type. Kentucky at South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina 5.5 seems a little small, especially for a night game at Williams-Brice. I feel like it's basketball season in the Bluegrass State.
I think Lenore Sellers has made some really wow plays this year, but I also think he's been a little underwhelming considering the hype coming in. And South Carolina needs an SEC win. We're about to get into October, and they don't have an SEC win yet. And I didn't realize how much of that defense, that really, really good defense they had last year, how much they lost. Yeah, they got Dylan Stewart back, but, buddy, they lost some dudes on that side. And I think that's why the Virginia Tech game was so close.
I'm looking forward to Joe, you connecting with the KSR guys that we were hanging out with in the hotel bar at SEC Media Days. Those guys are great.
They're a fun crew.
They are.
I wish I was going. I'd love to go out there, go to the Woodford Reserve Distillery, maybe hang out with the KSR guys.
Hey, I wanted to go just to go stalk Ashley Judd, but Joe said no.
Oh my gosh!
So what he's saying today? Today he's saying, Justin, you go in till you win.
Yeah,
I've already got a thing with my patent lawyer on the other line. I'm making shirts per Joe Cook. We're gonna run this. So it's gonna be the next Catholics versus convicts.
I guess one last thing, and this will be interesting to talk about. I was listening to Cover 3 the other day, and it makes sense at a place like Kentucky. It applies to Arkansas too. Texas and a lot of other schools dedicate 75-ish% of their house settlement money to football. Kentucky and even Arkansas are it kind of speaks to where those jobs are right now, because they have big time basketball coaches or programs that also need a big chunk of that pie. That's probably going to relegate them into a pretty disappointing spot in the SEC pecking order for the foreseeable future. So the whole point is you got to spend money to be involved in any big conversation with postseason play.
Once Arkansas hired John Calipari, that number, that distribution number, whatever it was going to be, shifted.
In the event of a Super League or future realignment, there may be standards for how much you have to spend on football. So that may not be a long-term thing, this super unequal distribution.
I'd like to see that in MLB, to be honest.
Some of them may be like, hey, Arkansas and Kentucky, we're not going to drag your corpses around in football just so that you can pocket the money for basketball. Basketball doesn't make the rest of us money. You need to actually try in football. So there may be some standards there that are imposed.
This is an oversimplification, but the only thing blocking a Super League is the NCAA tournament. Because that is
you don't think it's the commissioners?
That is a multi-billion-dollar cash cow.
100%.
And if they were able to separate football from that, then we'd already be talking about a Super League, I feel like. But the Big East has to get theirs. Ian, what's coming out on the deep dive today?
We did a bit of a film study on some defensive clips against Sam Houston State. Pete Kwiatkowski brought a little more pressure, a little more variety, changed up some linebacker tandems, and we found a play where Cole Brevard picks up a Sam Houston State player over his head and throws him into the water cooler. So you're going to want to watch to see that.
Those are always fun. Make sure you tune in at noon. Make sure also you go to that first link in our description. Subscribe to Inside Texas. Join for just $1. Get access to the best Texas Longhorns football site, best intel, best community, and we'll also throw in a full year of access to The Athletic. Justin, thank you so much. Ian, thank you. We'll see you next time on IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.